Hey guys, welcome to That Florida Feeling. I hope everybody has such a great week. It's been hot and it's summer and it's Florida and yeah, it's just hot and it's humid. Actually, somebody sent me a meme and I didn't post it because I don't know how people feel about language, but it said fumid. Effing humid. It's my new word now. Fumid. I'm going to use that. I'm going to probably kill it, but I'm going to use it because it's fumid every day. Florida. Okay, ran over. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for following on all the social media pages. I hope you guys have enjoyed the last few episodes. Today, I have a really special guest. It's one of my fellow Unfiltered Studios podcasters, and I love this person. I love Mama D. Mama D is become a very close friend very quickly. It's one of those people you just feel like you can chat with for forever. And I was so happy to have her on. And we had to think about a topic. And we came up with traveling with kids. Because this is something that I know absolutely nothing about. You guys know I have fur babies. I don't have kids. And I know this is something that a lot of you guys, you guys have families. You guys have kids. And I wanted someone to come on to the podcast and be able to talk about traveling with children. And Florida is definitely family friendly. Let's face it, we have theme parks and beaches and huge things that are just geared towards children. And so Mama D was perfect to come on and just talk about traveling with kids. And she talked about from when they were a very little age all the way up until they got a lot older and going to her favorite place and how they saved money. And this was very interesting to hear because this is some stuff that while we do this, it makes much more sense with children. And I just am so grateful that Mama D came on to the podcast. Her podcast is Petals of Supprt. So you'll have to check her out and check out the rest of the podcast on Unfiltered Studios. There's a ton of them. If you're looking for something new to add to your library, you definitely need to check out Unfiltered Studios. There's literally something for everyone. There's some amazing people over there doing amazing things. It's such a great support group and podcast group. You just need to check it out. So, without further ado, here's me and Mama D's chat. Hey guys, so today I have an awesome guest. I've actually been on her podcast, and today I am lucky enough to have her on mine, and I am so happy. I have Mama D from Petals of Supprt. Say hi, Mama.
Oh, hello everybody. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
And she has actually been nice enough to come on to talk about Florida. She is going to talk about one topic that I know nothing about. We're going to talk about vacationing with kids, and she is just going to tell us how she did it because, as y'all know, I don't do kids, I don't have kids, and this is her specialty. So, Mama D, you have vacationed with kids.
Yes, because they frown on leaving them behind, so they have to come with me when I go places, yes.
I guess they frown on it if they know about it. No, I'm kidding. Don't leave your kids behind, guys. True. Do not do that. Although that is something I would totally say to people. I'd be like, yeah, but it's only illegal if you get caught.
That's true.
But so, you vacation with your kids all ages, right? From little to adult?
Yes. Right now, my youngest is 17 and my oldest is 21. So one would argue that they're both, well, one is definitely adult, one is, knocking on the door. But of course, to me, they're still young because I will always see them that way. But we have taken numerous vacations with them throughout, their childhood and everything. We've taken some great trips, some not so wonderful trips, but we have gone to Florida 3 times with them over the years.
All right. And so we'll just start when they were little and we'll work our way to adulthood. So when they were little, you took them to, I know you have talked about going into the Panhandle. Is that kind of the place you guys always stayed in Florida?
We did. When I was growing up, we did trips up to Cape Cod, Massachusetts. That's where we always went. And it's beautiful up there.
It is.
But the time frame can be weird because of the weather up there. And then you're dealing with truly the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah. So when we had our kids, my husband and I were like, we really would kind of like to go to Florida, but we really want to avoid the Atlantic Ocean side because that's rough.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a friend who recommended Port St. Joe.
Yes.
And we looked into that, and we realized that if you go a little bit farther down, which of course on a map doesn't look super far, but when you're driving with kids, it's still a drive to Cape San Blas.
Yes.
And that is where we have actually gone all 3 times. And I know some people say, well, there's so much that you can see. And I completely agree with that. But I also find that if you find that place that just is perfect for you, why not keep going there? There's tons of beautiful things to see in this world, in this country, I agree. But my goodness, the trips we have taken to the Cape have been absolutely wonderful. So that's the place where we kept going back to.
And that's awesome. It's when you make those memories and you keep going back to those places and you find those little places that you go, when you go back, not necessarily year after year, but time after time, it's those memories and those traditions, and that's what makes it special.
I agree.
And
it's
go ahead.
knowing the stores. It's
Yeah.
knowing, because we are very big on renting a house.
Yes.
Growing up, it was always hotels, and that is great. Condos, all that's wonderful. We, though, like to save a little bit of money by cooking for ourselves. Mm-hmm. So you rent a house, and you can rent on the beach, because you're saving money a little bit by saying, we're just not going to eat out constantly. We're going to eat out because I do love some oysters, and where I live, a little difficult to get the good stuff. So when we're coming to Florida, that's what I'm going to have, and that can get pricey.
Oh, yeah.
So we want to have a couple, dinners out, maybe a lunch or 2 out, but we save money by coming on our trip, because we drive. I'm not going to tell you how far the drive is, because then that narrows down where I live. And I do everything anonymous, but it's a drive. But you can still pack things from home.
Yeah.
That save you a little money, because where I live, things are going to be a little bit cheaper than when we get down to Florida. But eating breakfast is so much cheaper if you do it in the kitchen of the house you're renting.
Yeah.
And even lunch, throwing together some sandwiches. It makes it so, it saves the money that allows you to kind of splurge on that house on the beach, which is what we want.
No, absolutely. And you're staying on the Gulf side, so the water's going to be a little bit calmer, and it's going to be a little bit nicer, and the oysters are fresher over there. The shrimp is bigger. Gulf shrimp is amazing. That's the one thing I miss about living on the Gulf side, is that certain types of seafood were just a little bit better. I'm not going to lie to you. But, and that's the one thing that I always think is great, is like, Airbnbs and Vrbo and all that kind of just got big within the past 5-10 years. But I remember renting houses when I was younger, and we would eat spaghetti, or we would eat, cheap meals, Hamburger Helper or something. But that meant that we would eat those, my mom liked lobster, or my dad wanted a steak, or, something. And we would go back to those same restaurants.
Yes, it makes it special. Even though they can change them a little bit.
Yeah.
The kids will say, are we going to go to such and such a place? And we're like, yeah, of course we are. And they remember it from when they were little. That's cool.
Yeah. Now, so when they were little, obviously you drove from, I'm going to say hours, because we know it's hours. We know it's hours. I know it's hours.
Yes, you know where I am.
I do, but I'm saying hours. How did they handle those hours, like, to get to Florida? So first of all, I think, because you're obviously vacationing with little ones at that point, so getting them to Florida, and then while they were in Florida, those are my questions.
Well, you have to know your kids.
Yeah.
So my oldest, there's a 5-year difference between my kids. My oldest is just a laid back guy.
Okay.
And we know that about him. He's been like that. That's sometimes God gives you the first one that is super easy, and then you're like, I am the queen mother of the world. I could raise everyone's children. I could write a book about parenthood because I am so awesome. Then God says, here's your second one. Little bit different than the first one. And you're like, no, I really am not good at this. But my husband works nights. He's worked nights since right after we got married. So we would drive at night. Okay. Which for him was just normal.
Right.
And because my oldest was this laid back kid, he was fine. He would sleep in the car. We made sure that we stopped we would tell him, even when he was little, how long.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be a surprise. I remember growing up, and my dad, we would drive up to the Cape, and it was hours and hours.
Yes.
And he was that guy who's like, oh no, you can hold it for another 20 minutes.
Yes.
Well, 20 minutes actually in his world was like an hour, and you're going to die.
Yes. I told you I had to pee 45 minutes ago, and now you've taken 2 hours, and we are having a problem.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then, why are you mad at me, and why am I crying?
Yes.
We have always been just straightforward with the kids. Even when they were little, we were like, okay, this is where we are. This is where we need to get to stop. When the clock says this, that means we're going to stop.
Yeah.
And if you have a problem before then, let us know. But it was almost like we were all on the same page. No surprises. Everyone knew what was going on, so we didn't have drama.
Good.
And we would stop at my oldest loved truck stops.
Aww.
Because he knew his dad would buy him a toy in there, because truck stops usually have like a really big like convenience area where they have everything.
Pretty much everything.
So and yes, it would add up. I mean, that's kind of going into your travel money,
but it keeps them calm.
Right. It could be, we're going to get you a movie. We're going to get you something. Now, he went through a stage where it was Hot Wheels, which, that's not too expensive.
Now, have you seen the price now?
Well, no, see, mine are out of that. Now we're into, the Oculus V, the virtual reality stuff.
Never mind, now you're way more
bracket with this stuff, But it was it wasn't bribes.
Yeah.
We looked at it as it was reward.
Yeah.
You were good. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get some gummy bears. I'm going to get myself a coffee, or I'm going to get myself something because I was good.
Yeah.
So why shouldn't you
So you need to get something too. Yeah.
And then he would get back in the car without any fights, knowing that when the clock said this, we were going to stop again. And he was going to get another Hot Wheel, or he was going to get a bag of something he wanted. And half the time he'd sleep during those times. So he'd wake up and be like, that was easy.
Yeah.
And then we would get there, and my husband would go to sleep because he would have driven the most.
Yeah.
And it was my job then to kind of get us in the house that we rented.
Okay.
And then I think I had told you once that I was obsessed with the Piggly Wiggly.
Yes,
because we don't have a Piggly Wiggly here. So I'm like, where's the Piggly Wiggly? And off I'd go. And I would usually take the child with me because he was with me.
Yeah.
And it always worked out because we were just honest and straightforward.
Right.
My youngest son, not so much.
Okay.
He did not like car rides. He didn't like to be constrained in a car seat.
Okay.
We tried our best, and usually by the time we got to Florida, we kind of were thinking one of us is not making it back, and I don't know which one of us it's going to be. Like, someone's not making it home.
Right. So with him, did you, obviously the bribes kind of happened. Well, we won't call them bribes. Well, the rewards. So, obviously he made it back every time.
He did. He's here now, so yes.
Yeah, he did. Now, so obviously you probably took him to the Piggly Wiggly with you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How did he do in Florida, though?
He loved it, and he's the one that I've talked about has horrible allergies.
Right.
And allergies are terrible where I live.
Okay.
He would clear up so much.
Okay, that's what I was going to, because I know.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I was asking you that, because I know that when I moved from Tennessee to Florida, massive difference.
Yes.
And so that's kind of what I was asking you, like, how did he do in Florida, just being in a much more humid,
much better.
Pollen's bad here, I'm not going to lie to you, but, like, it's just different.
It's different, and because he has asthma, it's not like we would take him off his medication. We're not crazy. We're not it's a week, no medicine. We would still, of course, keep up with everything, but just his overall health improved to the point where we actually talked about moving.
Yeah.
Several times. It's just where we live and my husband's job, and then we have family here.
Of course.
It's one of those
all things
one
involved.
day. one day kind of things.
Yeah.
But yes. And after that first trip, and sometimes that's all it takes for the future trips, when we told him where we were going,
Yeah.
he had memories.
Okay.
So he understood, I'm going to go through hell for X amount of hours, and I'm going to make everybody's life hell for X amount of hours. But when we get there,
he's going to have fun.
Get to touch the sand.
Okay.
And I get to climb around, and I get to find the little shell things with little creatures inside, and it was awesome.
Okay, so that helped out for future trips. So, yes. Of course, as they got older, I guess the car trips got a little bit better.
Yes. Now, technology got better. I mean, you just put on music, and they're, they don't even want to talk to us. They're just like, when are we getting to McDonald's again?
Whatever the handheld thing was. I mean, mine was Game Boy growing up, so whatever it advanced to when they were their age.
Yes.
So what is your biggest advice to parents with kids traveling then to Florida, to vacation in Florida, other than rent a house on the beach, cook your own food? What is your biggest advice?
It would be know your family and know your kids.
Okay.
My kids and my family, we are perfectly happy at Cape San Blas.
Okay.
With a quiet beach, with a rental home. That's just us, because our lives are very fast paced with the sports and the school and the commitments.
Okay.
So to us, going and sitting on a beach is perfect. But if that is not your family, if your family needs things to do, they like to take the boats out, they like to go on a boardwalk and go to an arcade, find that place, because you don't want to take a trip that's not going to make people happy. No. Save up for the trip so you have the money to spend, but take the trip that is perfect for you and your family, and then everyone is going to enjoy it much more.
Yeah, and I talk about plenty of places in Florida that really kind of fit that mold for everybody, between the state parks, the theme parks if you want to, drop a small fortune, the beaches, the big cities. And I think that's great. That's why I wanted to talk to you really about traveling with kids, because that's not something I can talk about from any experience.
Right.
Is really that you've done it, so I knew that you would be able to tell people, like, what was your biggest piece of advice was, X.
It's knowing. Some people would need to take a break halfway through a drive and do a hotel room with a pool to break it up. Do that. Yeah. Some people can do a straight through shot at night like we did. Some people do not want to drive at night. They want to drive during the day. You know your family. Don't change things.
Yeah.
To make, do what works best for you. And if that means saving up for another year and you can't take that trip for another year because you want to have X amount saved so you can enjoy it, you don't have to take trips every year.
No,
make sure the trip you take is worth it, is a memory.
Awesome. Thank you, Mama. Yeah. That's what, and that's really what I wanted. I wanted you to come on, and I wanted you to tell people what I couldn't, because I don't have absolutely any experience in this. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So we're gonna cut this short, unfortunately.
Well, it's because we talked too much before we started recording.
Yeah, but that happens. But guess what? You're gonna come back on, right? You get to come back on.
I would love to come back on, and I know I have a second episode. I have one going out right now that you and I are on my podcast, and then we recorded a second one, and that's going to be out in the future. So I hope you come back on when I switch my themes, because I have a new theme coming up, and because I just enjoy talking to you. It's been a lot of fun.
And now that you've told me that you went to Cape San Blas, you're just going to come talk about that now. See?
Oh, I would love to tell about the places we went.
Yeah.
And I know I said it's like sitting on a beach and it's quiet, but there are some cool stores and some cool restaurants and everything, and I would love to share that.
So see, now that's going to be your future episode.
I love it.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on tonight, and I really appreciate it. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed my chat with Mama D. Again, she's on Petals of Supprt. You definitely need to go check her out. She's on all the social media pages. She has some really great episodes. And a lot of it makes a lot of sense. Like, you don't think you're going through something, or you're like, nobody else is doing this, and you listen to her episodes and you're like, I am not the only one. And I love it. And I love that when you talk to her, you just feel so welcomed and so just at ease. And her podcasts are so easy to listen to. And again, it was such fun to have her on, and I can't wait to have her on again. And we're going to talk about something else, probably Cape San Blas. But thank you for listening this week, guys. Don't forget to check out all the social media pages. If you haven't liked, subscribed, and followed, do that so you don't miss any more episodes. I'm going to have a lot more great guests on soon. Don't forget to drink your water, stay hydrated. And as always, guys, that's your daily dose of sunshine.
This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.